You wake up. Before your feet even touch the ground, your mind is already speaking. But what is it saying? For most people, it sounds like this. I'm so tired. Today is going to be tough. I never get things right. And just like that, before the day even begins, you've set the tone for failure. But what if I told you that the way you talk to yourself is the single most powerful force shaping your reality? The Stoics knew this centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Modern neuroscience now proves he was right. Your brain rewires itself based on what you repeatedly tell it. In this video, we're diving into the science and Stoic philosophy of self-talk, how it controls your energy, influences your success, and even affects your body on a biochemical level. The Stoics mastered the art of mental discipline, and today we'll break down how their wisdom aligns with neuroscience, giving you an actionable blueprint for rewiring your mind. You'll learn why the words in your head either build you up or break you down. And most importantly, I'll give you a powerful, practical, Stoic-based strategy to transform yourself starting today. If you've ever felt stuck, drained, or like life isn't moving in the direction you want, this might be exactly what you need. Stay until the end, because one simple shift in how you speak to yourself could change everything. What's the most common phrase you tell yourself daily? Drop it in the comments below. Let's see how many of us are unknowingly programming our reality. 1. The voice that controls your life. You are standing in front of a mirror, staring into your own eyes. The voice in your head is louder than the silence around you. It whispers, "You're not good enough. You will fail. Everyone will see it." Your heartbeat quickens, your breath becomes shallow. Doubt creeps into your muscles, stiffening them. Your body reacts not to reality, but to the script your mind has written. This isn't magic, it's science. Your thoughts dictate your actions. Your inner voice is not just background noise, it is the director of your reality. Like a commander issuing orders, your self-talk determines whether you rise or crumble. If your words are filled with fear, hesitation, and self-doubt, they become the chains that bind you. But if your words are strong, filled with resilience and determination, they become the fuel that drives you forward. Stoicism understood this centuries ago. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That reaction begins with the dialogue inside your own head. The Stoics trained themselves to master their inner narrative because they knew it was the key to mastering life itself. If you let your thoughts run wild, unchecked, undisciplined, chaotic, they will control you. But if you choose them carefully, like a sculptor shaping marble, you control your destiny. A young actor once stood backstage, waiting for the moment to step under the bright lights. He had rehearsed every line, every movement, every emotion. But as the final seconds ticked down, a single thought slipped into his mind. What if I forget everything? His pulse spiked, his hands turned cold, and his breath became uneven. The fear paralyzed him. The curtain rose. The words he had once known so well faded into a haze. His worst fear became reality. Not because he wasn't capable, but because he had already lost the battle in his mind before stepping on stage. Now imagine another actor standing in the same position. He too felt the nerves creeping in. The doubt was there, lingering in the shadows of his mind. But instead of surrendering to it, he took a deep breath and whispered to himself, "I've prepared. I know my lines. I will own this stage." His body responded to his belief. His voice projected confidence. His movements were fluid, and his energy commanded attention. The difference between these two actors? The words they spoke to themselves shaped the reality they experienced. Your mind is a battlefield. The enemy is not the world outside. It is the unchecked whispers within. Picture this. You are a warrior stepping into combat, but instead of a sword, you hold words. The words you choose become your weapon or your weakness. If you constantly tell yourself, "I'm not strong enough, I'm not worthy," then you've already lost before the fight begins. But if you train yourself to say, "I will endure, I will rise, I will win," then your mind becomes unbreakable. Think of a dam holding back a raging river. The structure is strong, but a single crack, one doubt, one hesitation, can weaken it. Before long, the entire foundation collapses. That is what happens when you allow negative self-talk to take root. It starts as a small whisper, but grows into a flood that drowns your potential. The only way to stop it is to reinforce the dam, to consciously strengthen your thoughts until they are unshakable. The Stoics did not wait for circumstances to determine their mindset. They trained daily, filtering every thought through reason and discipline. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The greatest power you have is control over your inner dialogue. No one else can hear it, no one else can change it, but it shapes everything you do. So how do you take control? First, become aware of your self-talk. The words you repeat to yourself daily become your truth. If you tell yourself you're weak, you will act weak. If you tell yourself you're strong, you will find strength where others see failure. When a negative thought arises, recognize it, but do not let it define you. Replace "I can't do this" with "I have prepared for this." Swap "I am failing" with "I am learning." Imagine you are a blacksmith forging a sword. Every time you strike the metal with a negative thought, it weakens. But every time you hammer it with strength, resilience, and discipline, it becomes sharper, stronger, and indestructible. Your mind works the same way. You either sharpen it with empowering self-talk, or you dull it with doubt and fear. Most people wait for external validation to believe in themselves. They wait for someone to tell them they are capable, worthy, and strong. But the truth is, it starts inside. It starts with a choice to silence the voice of fear and replace it with one of power. You are the author of your own story. The voice in your head is either building you up or tearing you down. Choose wisely. 2. The silent killer, or your greatest weapon. A warrior does not walk into battle without a weapon. A sailor does not sail into a storm without a compass. Yet, most people navigate life without realizing that their greatest tool, or their greatest enemy, lives within their own minds. The words you whisper to yourself, the silent monologue that shapes your reality, are either your most powerful weapon or the force that quietly destroys you. You have seen it before. A person hesitates before speaking, their shoulders slightly hunched, their voice uncertain. They had an idea, a contribution, a thought that could have made a difference. But instead, they swallowed it. Not because they lacked intelligence, but because a voice inside their head whispered, "No one will care. You'll embarrass yourself." And so they stayed silent, allowing that inner dialogue to dictate their choices. Stoicism teaches that external events are beyond our control, but our perception of them is within our grasp. Epictetus once said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them." The real battle is never in the external world, it is within. If your self-talk is filled with doubt, fear, and hesitation, you have already lost. But if it is composed of certainty, clarity, and resilience, you have already won. A man sat in a high-rise office, his hands resting on the table as his colleagues debated a proposal. His mind raced. He had a brilliant idea, one that could shift the entire conversation, but the thought struck him. What if my boss doesn't like it? His pulse quickened, his throat tightened, and just like that, he remained silent. The moment passed. The meeting ended, and the opportunity slipped through his fingers, lost not because of external rejection, but because of his own self-imposed doubt. Another employee sat in the same room, faced with the same tension. But as the thought of hesitation crept in, he countered it with, "My perspective has value. My ideas are worth sharing." He spoke. His voice carried strength, not because he lacked fear, but because he had trained himself to rise above it. His words shaped his future, simply because he chose to take control of them. A single thought can shift the course of an entire life. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, staring down at the vast unknown. If your mind tells you, you will fall, you will fail, your body tenses, your feet refuse to move, and fear keeps you frozen. But if you tell yourself, "I am prepared, I am capable," your body follows. You step forward with control, with certainty. The difference is not in the cliff, not in the danger, it is in the words you choose to believe. The mind left unguarded is like an untamed fire. It spreads recklessly, consuming everything in its path. If fueled by fear and self-doubt, it will burn down your confidence, your ambition, your very ability to act. But if harnessed, if fed with words of strength, it becomes a force of creation, illuminating the path forward. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Most people spend their lives trying to control external circumstances, seeking approval, fearing rejection. But the real control, the only control that matters, is over the voice within. So how do you shape this voice into your greatest weapon instead of your downfall? First, recognize the moment self-doubt appears. It often arrives subtly, disguised as logic or self-preservation. But hesitation built on fear is not logic. It is a chain binding you to inaction. When it arises, challenge it. Instead of "I shouldn't speak," replace it with "My words have an impact." Instead of "I am not enough," say "I am evolving." Second, understand that repetition is power. Just as the body is strengthened through repeated action, the mind is trained through repeated words. The more you reinforce certainty, the more your brain aligns with that belief. Every time you choose strength over fear, you carve a new path in your mind, one that leads to confidence, resilience, and action. Most battles are lost before they begin, not because of skill or strategy, but because of doubt. The voice in your head is either handing you the sword or taking it away. Train it. Control it. Because in the end, the words you believe will shape the life you live. 3. Train your mind like a champion. A pianist sits before an empty concert hall. His fingers hover over the keys, but he does not move. He closes his eyes and sees it, the performance, the rhythm, the melody flowing effortlessly from his hands. He envisions each note striking perfectly, his movements precise, his presence commanding. His body is still, but his mind is already playing the music. And when the moment arrives, when the audience is silent and all eyes are on him, his fingers move with certainty. Not because he has never failed, but because he has already succeeded in his mind. Your brain does not distinguish between reality and what it vividly imagines. What you repeatedly visualize, your body believes. What you tell yourself, your mind begins to accept as truth. If you constantly see yourself failing, hesitating, being unworthy, your actions will reflect that. But if you train yourself to see success, to embody confidence before the moment arrives, you rewire your entire approach to life. Stoics understood this centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius practiced premeditatio malorum, visualizing obstacles before they happened, preparing his mind to remain steady no matter what came. He did not fear difficulty because he had already faced it in his mind. Epictetus taught that we suffer more in our imagination than in reality. But what if we could use that same imagination to shape strength instead of fear? What if, instead of picturing failure, we conditioned ourselves to see resilience, clarity, and control? A young pianist, once crippled by doubt, faced this choice. Every rehearsal, he hesitated, his fingers faltering over keys he had played 1,000 times before. The fear of making mistakes consumed him. But his mentor taught him something different, not just to practice with his hands, but with his mind. Each night before sleeping, he sat in silence, closing his eyes and visualizing himself performing flawlessly. He saw the way his hands moved, felt the confidence in his posture, and heard the applause before it even existed. And as days turned into weeks, something changed. When he sat at the piano, his nerves settled. His body moved as if it had already lived this moment before. The same principle applies to everything in life. If you tell yourself you are unprepared, incapable, or unworthy, you will move through life as if that is true. But if you train your mind to see strength, to visualize success, to rehearse victory before it happens, your body and mind will align. Imagine you are standing at the edge of a battlefield. In your hands, you hold a bow and arrow. The enemy stands in the distance. Your body is strong, your stance firm, but before you shoot, a thought enters your mind. What if I miss? Your grip falters, your arms tighten, the arrow wavers. And in that moment, before you even release, you have already lost. Now picture a different version of yourself. The battlefield is the same, the enemy unmoved. But this time, you breathe deeply. You see the arrow flying straight before you even let go. You feel the tension in the bowstring, the certainty in your fingers. You have already won before the battle has even begun. That is the power of mental rehearsal. It does not guarantee success, but it shifts the odds in your favor. The Stoics knew that preparation was not just physical, it was mental. Seneca wrote that luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. If you wait until the moment of battle to believe in yourself, it is already too late. Champions train their minds before they train their bodies. They do not leave their confidence to chance. They build it with intention. So how do you apply this? Begin every morning by seeing yourself succeeding. Not vaguely, not in general terms, but vividly. If you have a challenge ahead, play it out in your mind with precision. See yourself walking with confidence. Hear your voice steady and strong. Feel yourself handling difficulty with calmness and clarity. Repetition strengthens the mind. The more you visualize success, the more your brain wires itself to expect it. And when the real moment arrives, when life demands that you step up, you will not hesitate. Because you have already been there. You have already conquered it in your mind. And now, your body will simply follow. 4. Reprogram your mind. The science of thought engineering. There is a moment before action, a single breath where everything is decided. You stand at the edge, looking forward. The hesitation creeps in, a whisper in your mind. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? And in that instant, before you even take the first step, you have already set the course. Your brain follows patterns. The thoughts you feed it become the path it walks every day. If that path is filled with self-doubt, fear, and hesitation, then every choice, every action, and every opportunity is filtered through that lens. You hesitate before speaking, you pull back before taking risks, and you convince yourself that success belongs to others, but not to you. But if that path is paved with certainty, discipline, and self-trust, your mind moves differently. You step forward with conviction, you adapt instead of breaking, you face the challenge instead of avoiding it. The Stoics knew that the mind was everything. Epictetus taught that we are not disturbed by things, but by the view we take of them. It is not the world that defeats you, it is the way you interpret it. A rejection is not a failure unless you call it that. A setback is not the end unless you believe it is. The way you speak to yourself is the foundation of how you live. You wake up to another day, a routine stretching out before you. The alarm rings and your first thought arrives. I don't want to get up. The weight of the day presses down. You move sluggishly, already anticipating stress, struggle, and exhaustion. You tell yourself today will be difficult, and so it is. Your body follows the script your mind has written. But what if the first thought you allowed yourself was different? What if, before your feet even hit the floor, you spoke with strength? I am awake, I am here, and I am ready. No false positivity, no empty affirmations, just a choice to shape your state of mind before the world does. The shift may seem small, but it is everything. You are the architect of your thoughts. Imagine your mind as a house under construction. Every day, you lay bricks, thoughts, beliefs, assumptions. If the foundation is weak, if it is built on fear and hesitation, the structure will collapse under pressure. But if each brick is placed with purpose, I can handle this. I control my reactions. I am capable of adapting. Then the house stands, no matter the storm. Your mind is not fixed. It is malleable, adaptable, constantly rewiring itself. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize and form new connections. Every thought, every repeated phrase, and every belief you reinforce strengthens a neural pathway. Over time, those pathways become automatic. If you constantly tell yourself, I can't do this, that thought becomes a reflex. But if you train yourself to say, I will figure this out, your brain rewires itself to seek solutions instead of fear obstacles. The Stoics practiced this long before science confirmed it. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal daily, shaping his thoughts with discipline. He knew that training the mind was like training the body, daily repetition, deliberate effort. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Most people wait for their thoughts to change on their own. They wait for motivation, for inspiration, for the perfect moment when they will finally feel ready. But the mind does not work that way. If you wait, the default patterns remain. If you take control, if you choose your words carefully, your reality shifts. So how do you begin? First, notice the words you use with yourself. Pay attention to the dialogue in your mind throughout the day. When challenges arise, do you say, "I knew this would go wrong," or do you say, "This is difficult, but I can handle it"? Second, replace the weak phrases. "I can't do this" becomes "I will figure it out." "I am terrible at this" becomes "I am improving every day." And most importantly, practice. Every morning, every night, in moments of doubt, and in moments of strength, speak to yourself with the discipline of a Stoic. Do not let the world dictate your thoughts. Engineer them. Construct them with purpose. Your mind will follow the path you build. Make sure it leads where you want to go. 5. Destroy the mental chains holding you back. You stand at the edge of something new, an idea, a decision, an opportunity. But before you take a step, a voice inside whispers, "I'm not ready. I don't know enough. I will fail." And so you don't move, not because you lack potential, but because your mind has convinced you that you do. Fear doesn't always show itself as panic. Sometimes it appears as logic. "This isn't the right time. I need more experience. People like me don't succeed." These thoughts disguise themselves as reason, but in reality, they are chains. And the more you believe them, the tighter they hold you in place. The Stoics knew that the greatest obstacles are not outside of us, but within. Epictetus taught that we are not prisoners of circumstances, only of our own beliefs. The world does not limit you, your mind does. It tells you that risk is too dangerous, that failure is too painful, and that others are more capable. But what if those thoughts were lies? What if you challenged them instead of obeying them? A man once sat at his desk, staring at a business idea he had written months ago. He wanted to start something of his own. He had seen others do it. But every time he thought about taking action, a voice in his head said, "I'm not smart enough for this. I don't have what it takes." So he stayed where he was, watching, waiting, letting time pass while his dream remained just that, a dream. One day, he caught himself in the middle of this thought. Instead of letting it dictate his actions, he asked, "What if this isn't true? What if I am capable?" He began reading, studying, and reaching out to people who had done what he wanted to do. He realized something. Intelligence wasn't what separated those who started and those who didn't. It was belief. The ones who moved forward weren't always the smartest. They were the ones who refused to let doubt stop them. Your mind is a room. If you spend years reinforcing its walls with fear, hesitation, and excuses, it becomes a prison. You stay inside, convinced that the outside world is dangerous and that you are not ready to leave. But if you tear down just one brick, one limiting belief, you see something new. You see possibilities instead of barriers. Imagine being lost in a dense forest. The trees around you are thick, and the path ahead is unclear. You tell yourself, "I will never find my way out." And so, you don't try. You sit down, waiting for something to change, waiting for the path to reveal itself. But it never does. The only way to find a way forward is to move, to trust that with each step, the way will become clearer. The Stoics trained their minds to break free from mental limitations. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The fear of failure is often worse than failure itself. The hesitation before action is often more painful than the action itself. The longer you sit in doubt, the deeper it takes root. A woman once wanted to leave a job that made her miserable. Every morning, she dreaded the workday ahead. She had ideas for something better, something she truly wanted to pursue. But every time she thought about leaving, she hesitated. What if I fail? What if I regret it? What if I'm not good enough? So she stayed, not because she loved her job, but because her self-doubt told her she had no choice. One evening, exhausted and frustrated, she sat alone and asked herself a different question. What if I succeed? What if she did try? What if she figured it out along the way? For the first time, she let herself imagine a different outcome. And that single thought was enough to push her to take the first step. She prepared, made a plan, and eventually walked away from the job that had trapped her for years. Not because she had everything figured out, but because she decided that hesitation was no longer an option. So how do you break free? First, recognize the thought patterns that hold you back. The next time you hear yourself say, "I can't," challenge it. Ask, is this true, or is this just a habit of thinking? Second, take action before you feel ready. The mind follows movement. The moment you begin, doubt starts to weaken. Third, replace hesitation with self-trust. Instead of saying, "I'm not sure if I can do this," say, "I will figure this out." Freedom is not given, it is taken. The mental chains that hold you back will not disappear on their own. You must break them. One thought at a time, one step at a time. The world is not waiting to stop you. It is waiting to see if you will start. 6. Fuel or drain. How your inner voice controls your energy. A fire does not decide its own strength. It burns based on the fuel it is given. Feed it dry wood, and it blazes fiercely. Smother it with damp branches, and it weakens, flickering out. Your body works the same way. The fuel you give it is not just food, sleep, or training. It is the words you speak to yourself. The mind and body are not separate. They are connected in ways most people underestimate. Tell yourself, "I'm exhausted, I can't do this," and your muscles feel heavier, your breath shortens, and your endurance fades. But change that voice to, "I am strong, I can handle this," and something shifts. You feel a surge of resilience. Your body pushes forward, not because the situation has changed, but because your mind has. The Stoics knew that energy is not just a physical state, it is a mental discipline. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." If your mind is convinced that you are depleted, your body follows that belief. But if you train yourself to talk differently, you access reserves of strength you didn't even know existed. A marathon runner understands this better than most. In the final miles, when the finish line is near but the body screams for rest, the true challenge begins. One runner repeats, "I can't go any further. I have nothing left." His steps grow slower, his form breaks down, and his body obeys his thoughts. Another runner, facing the same exhaustion, whispers, "One more step, I have enough, I will finish." And suddenly his body listens. His strides are steady, his breath deepens, and his endurance lasts longer than he expected. The difference between them is not in strength or preparation. It is in the way they speak to themselves when it matters most. You have been there before. Maybe not in a marathon, but in moments where exhaustion, mental or physical, made you hesitate. You faced a task that seemed too heavy, a challenge that felt impossible. Your mind told you, "I'm done. I have nothing left." And so you stopped, not because you had no energy, but because you believed it. Now imagine another version of yourself in the same moment, the same exhaustion, the same weight pressing down, but instead of surrendering, you tell yourself, "I have more in me. I can take one more step." And you do. Then another, and another. And before you realize it, the challenge that once seemed unbearable is now behind you. Your body listens to every word your mind speaks. It does not question whether the thought is true, it simply reacts. A soldier on the battlefield does not focus on his fatigue, he focuses on the mission. A boxer in the final round does not dwell on pain, he focuses on the opponent. Their bodies are trained, yes, but their minds are trained even more. They have learned to talk to themselves in a way that fuels them, not drains them. The same principle applies in daily life. When you wake up and the first thought is, "I'm too tired for this day," your energy responds accordingly. Your movements slow and your mind feels heavy before the day even begins. But when you wake up and say, "I have enough for today," your body follows suit. The Stoics trained themselves to endure through mindset. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Strength is not about never feeling tired. It is about not letting exhaustion make decisions for you. So how do you control your energy? First, be aware of the words you feed yourself. When fatigue sets in, listen carefully. Are you reinforcing your limits or pushing them? When you hear yourself say, "I can't take this anymore," shift it. "I will get through this." When your mind whispers, "I don't have the energy," counter it. "I will find the energy." Second, practice this when you are not at your limit. The way you speak to yourself daily determines how you will respond in moments of exhaustion. Train your mind to fuel you, so that when difficulty arrives, you already know how to answer it. You are not powerless over your energy. You control more of it than you think. The words you choose are the difference between stopping early or pushing forward, between quitting the race or finishing strong, between a fire that dies and a fire that burns long into the night. Neurohacking, how to train your brain to work for you. A sculptor does not create by force. He does not attack the stone, demanding it to become something it is not. Instead, he chips away, one careful strike at a time, shaping it with precision and patience. Your mind works the same way. It is not transformed overnight, but through consistent, intentional effort. Every thought you have is a tool. Some carve strength, others carve limitation. If you tell yourself, "This is too hard, I hate this," your body listens. It resists, it drags itself through the process, making every step feel heavier. But if you tell yourself, "I am improving with each rep, with each movement, with each breath," something shifts. Your body responds differently. Your energy flows instead of resists. The Stoics believe that discipline is not suffering, it is liberation. Epictetus taught that what truly enslaves us is not hardship, but our attitude toward it. Suffering comes not from effort, but from the mind's rejection of effort. If you can reframe struggle as progress, then the weight you carry is no longer a burden. It is a tool for transformation. A man stepped into the gym, his body already tense before he even began. His goal was clear. He wanted to change, to become stronger, to shed the weight that had weighed him down for years. But each session felt like a battle. His mind repeated the same refrain: "This is exhausting, this is pointless, I will never get there." And with each repetition, his body felt heavier. His energy drained before he even finished the workout. He forced himself through the motions, but his mind had already decided the outcome. Then one day, something changed. Instead of focusing on discomfort, he made a decision. As he lifted, he told himself, "My body is getting stronger. I am not just enduring, I am building." He repeated it, not once, but over and over, until his body responded. The weights felt the same. The exercises did not change, but his energy did. His mind was no longer fighting against him, it was working with him. And that made all the difference. Your brain is a living circuit board, constantly rewiring itself. Every time you repeat a thought, you reinforce a neural pathway. If that pathway is built on negativity, it deepens into a trench of resistance. But if it is built on strength, it becomes a road to progress. Imagine you are in a storm, the rain pounding down, the wind howling. You have two choices. You can fight against it, cursing every drop, exhausting yourself in resistance, or you can lean into it. Let it wash over you, let it fuel you instead of drain you. The storm does not change, but your approach does. And that determines whether you survive it or succumb to it. The Stoics knew that struggle was inevitable, but how you interpret struggle is up to you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." If you tell yourself that pain is suffering, it will be. But if you tell yourself that pain is progress, your mind will adjust. The way you speak to yourself in difficult moments creates your reality. When discomfort arises, listen to what you tell yourself. If your words create resistance, change them. Replace "I can't" with "I am getting there." Replace "this is too hard" with "this is making me stronger." Repetition makes this shift permanent. Just as a muscle strengthens through repeated effort, so does the mind. The more you reinforce a thought, the more it becomes automatic. This mindset does not only apply to physical endurance. Whether it is a difficult conversation, a demanding project, or a moment of doubt, the same principle holds. Struggle is not the enemy, your perception of it is. Train yourself to shift from resistance to adaptation. Your brain is not your enemy. It is a tool waiting to be trained. The words you choose are the blueprint it follows. Speak with strength, and it will build resilience. Speak with weakness, and it will build excuses. The choice is yours. Your words create the energy you carry. A room changes the moment you step into it, not because of the walls, the furniture, or the lighting, but because of the energy you bring. Before a single word is spoken, people sense something. Some carry an energy that makes others listen, lean in, and pay attention. Others shrink the moment they arrive, their presence fading into the background before they even speak. That energy is not luck. It is not an accident. It is the result of how you speak to yourself before you ever open your mouth to the world. If you enter a situation thinking, "I am not enough," "They won't choose me," "I don't belong here," your body absorbs that message. Your posture shifts. Your voice weakens. Your presence becomes smaller. But if you step in with, "I bring value, I have something to offer, I am prepared," your confidence becomes tangible. Others feel it before you even say a word. The Stoics understood this invisible power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Your thoughts do not just stay in your head, they shape everything around you. Epictetus taught that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The energy you project is not determined by the world, it is determined by you. A man walked into an interview room, adjusting his tie, his palms slightly damp. He had prepared for this moment, but his mind whispered, "I'm not the best candidate. They probably have someone more qualified." His words felt rehearsed, his handshake lacked conviction, and though he answered every question correctly, something was missing. The panel nodded politely, but did not lean in. Another candidate entered the same room, same panel, same opportunity. But before he walked in, he reminded himself, "I belong here. I bring real value." His handshake was firm. His eye contact is steady. He spoke not from fear of rejection, but from confidence in his ability to contribute. The words in his head shaped the way his energy filled the room. And when he left, the panel remembered him. Your self-talk is more than just a thought. It is a frequency. It is the force that determines whether people feel drawn to you or overlook you. Imagine walking into a negotiation thinking, "I am powerless here. They have all the control." That belief will show in your tone, your posture, the hesitation in your words. But if you step in thinking, "I bring value. They need me as much as I need them," the conversation shifts. You command respect, not by demanding it, but by embodying it. Picture yourself as a mirror. The world reflects back on what you believe about yourself. If you see doubt, the world treats you with hesitation. If you see strength, the world responds with recognition. A young woman once had a chance to pitch her business idea to an investor. It was an opportunity she had been waiting for. But in the days leading up to it, she kept telling herself, "I don't think they'll take me seriously. What if they don't like my idea?" She walked into the meeting nervous and uncertain. She spoke too quickly, trying to rush through her words before someone could interrupt. The investor listened, but did not engage. When the meeting ended, they thanked her, but moved on. A year later, she had another chance, but this time she prepared differently. Instead of memorizing every word of her pitch, she focused on how she spoke to herself beforehand. She repeated, "I believe in this. I know the value I bring." When she walked into the room, something changed. Her posture was strong, her voice steady. The same investor who had once dismissed her was now interested, leaning in, asking questions. She had the same idea and the same qualifications. The only difference was her energy. The Stoics mastered this control over perception. Seneca advised, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." The mind creates fear long before the world does. The only way to shift the way others see you is to shift the way you see yourself. Every day before stepping into any situation, listen to how you speak to yourself. Are you reinforcing limitations, or are you preparing yourself to walk in with presence? Before an interview, a meeting, or a conversation, train your mind first. Replace "I hope they like me" with "I will make them see my value." Change "I am not as good as the others" to "I have something unique to bring." Your energy is not accidental. It is crafted in silence, in the moments before action, in the words you choose to tell yourself. The world will not believe in you until you do. The energy you carry into the room is your responsibility. Make sure it is one that cannot be ignored. The way you speak to yourself shapes the life you live. Every thought, every internal conversation, every whispered doubt or affirmation rewires your mind, strengthens or weakens your resolve, and determines how you face the world. If you tell yourself that you are not enough, that you are powerless, that you do not belong, the world will reflect that belief back to you. But if you choose your words with intention, if you remind yourself that you are capable, that you are resilient, that you have the power to shape your reality, everything shifts. The Stoics understood this long before modern neuroscience confirmed it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That strength is built every day in the quiet moments when no one is watching. It is built in the way you respond to difficulty, in the way you push through hesitation, in the way you train your mind to work for you rather than against you. Repetition is the key. Just as a muscle is strengthened through constant use, so is your self-talk. Start with the smallest moments. When you wake up, when you face a challenge, when you step into a new situation. Change "I can't" to "I will figure this out." Replace "I am not enough" with "I bring value." Each time you do this, you reshape your mind. Now it's your turn. What thoughts have held you back? What words will you choose from this moment forward? Share your experience in the comments below. The conversation you have with yourself today will shape the person you become tomorrow. Start now.